What if I told you the next global crisis is not a virus, not a war, and not a climate disaster? What if the next crisis has already been rehearsed, scripted, and simulated by the very people who claim they want to save you from it? Imagine waking up tomorrow morning. You reach for your phone, but there is no signal. You check your banking app, and it simply says, "Connection failed." You drive to the gas station, but the pumps are off. You go to the grocery store, and the credit card machines are dead. Cash? The ATMs are dark screens. In the span of 6 hours, the entire nervous system of the global economy, the digital ledger that proves you own what you own, has been wiped clean. This is not a scene from a sci-fi movie. This is the exact scenario simulated by the World Economic Forum in an exercise called Cyber Polygon. What if the inflation eating your paycheck, the insurmountable national debt, and the fragility of the bond market are not just accidents of incompetence? What if the system is so broken that it cannot be fixed, only reset? And what if the only way to reset a system based on unpayable debt is to claim that a hacker deleted the records? They call it cyber pandemic. I call it the convenient arson of the financial system. We are standing on the edge of a precipice, staring down a mechanism designed to transfer the last remnants of your wealth into a digital prison. But before we get to the solution they have waiting for you, we have to understand the problem they are manufacturing. Where are you watching from right now? Drop your location in the comments below. Let us see how global this awakening really is. And if you are tired of the sanitized narratives on the mainstream news, hit that subscribe button right now. We are about to peel back the layers of the most sophisticated financial heist in human history. This is the unfiltered truth.
To understand where we are going, we have to look at the blood-stained roadmap of where we have been. History does not just repeat itself, it rhymes. And right now, the rhyme scheme is screaming a warning. Let us look at Event 201. In October 2019, the World Economic Forum, the Gates Foundation, and Johns Hopkins gathered to simulate a global coronavirus pandemic. They modeled the lockdowns, the media censorship, and the economic fallout. 2 months later, the real thing happened. The simulation went live. Now look at Cyber Polygon. Started in 2020 and repeated in 2021, this exercise simulated a supply chain attack on the global corporate network. Klaus Schwab himself introduced it, warning that a cyber attack with COVID-like characteristics would spread faster than any biological virus, bringing our transportation, hospital, and power systems to a complete halt. He said the COVID-19 crisis would be seen as a small disturbance in comparison. Sound familiar? It should. It is the exact same playbook. Predict the catastrophe, simulate the response, and when the real event happens, present the pre-packaged solution that consolidates power. But let us go back further. Look at 1929. The Great Depression was not just a bad day at the stock market. It was a liquidity contraction engineered by the Federal Reserve. They flooded the market with easy money in the roaring 20s, got everyone addicted to margin debt, and then pulled the rug. The result? The consolidation of small banks into the hands of the giants. Sound familiar? Look at 2023. Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, First Republic, gone in a weekend, absorbed by JP Morgan and the Too Big to Fail Club. We are seeing a controlled consolidation of the banking sector right now. Or take 2008, the subprime mortgage crisis. The banks knew the assets were toxic garbage. They packaged them, stamped them AAA, and sold them to pension funds. When the bubble burst, they did not go to jail. They got bailed out. They threatened martial law in Congress if they did not get their money. They held the economy hostage. Sound familiar? Today, the toxic asset is not just subprime mortgages. It is sovereign debt. It is the U.S. Treasury market. It is the very foundation of the global financial system. The debt is mathematically unpayable. We are at the end of the long-term debt cycle. The central banks have printed themselves into a corner. If they stop printing, the system collapses. If they keep printing, the currency collapses. They need a way out. They need a reset button. But they cannot just say, "Sorry, we mismanaged the economy for 50 years and your savings are worthless." That would cause a revolution. They need an external enemy. They need a scapegoat. They need a glitch. In 2008, the excuse was greedy homeowners. In 1929, it was speculators. In 2024, the excuse will be Russian hackers or anonymous cyber terrorists erasing the banking ledger. This historical pattern reveals a terrifying truth. Chaos is rarely accidental in high finance. It is engineered. It is a tool. The panic you feel is the profit they seek, the instability of your job, the rising cost of your groceries, the fear that your 401k will vanish. These are not bugs in the system. They are features of a transition phase. We are moving from one financial epoch to another. The old system was based on debt and fossil fuels. The new system is based on data and control. And the bridge between the two is a crisis severe enough to make you beg for their digital solution.
Most people think a cyber attack on the banks means someone steals your password and drains your checking account. That is small thinking. That is petty theft. What we are talking about here is systemic ledger erasure. The mechanism that makes this conspiracy possible is something boring, something invisible, and something absolutely critical: the SWIFT system and the central bank balance sheet. You see, money today is not gold. It is not even paper. It is a digital entry on a ledger managed by commercial banks. When you see $5,000 in your account, that is not your money. That is an unsecured liability of the bank to you. The bank owes you that money, but thanks to fractional reserve banking, they do not have that money. They lent it out. If everyone runs to the bank, the illusion breaks. But what if the run on the bank is digital? What if a malware infects the clearinghouses, the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, or the SWIFT network? These are the central nervous systems that verify who owns which stock, who owns which bond, and which bank owes what to whom. If that ledger is corrupted, if the backup data is encrypted by ransomware, nobody knows who owns anything. The chain of title is broken. The debt records are scrambled. The asset records are gone. Here is the twist that nobody sees coming. The banks might actually welcome this attack. Why? Because the banks are insolvent. They are sitting on trillions of dollars of unrealized losses in commercial real estate and government bonds. If they have to mark those assets to market, they are bankrupt. But if a cyber attack freezes the system, they can declare force majeure. They can lock your accounts not because they are bankrupt, but for your safety while they restore the data. It gives them the ultimate cover story to freeze liquidity, stop withdrawals, and default on their obligations
without admitting they are broke. The hack provides the alibi for the default. And who steps in to save the day? You won't believe the name. It is not the FDIC. It is not the insurance companies. The receipt for this bailout is wilder than you think, and it has already been written.
Let us get into the mechanics of this engineered collapse. To understand the digital pandemic, you have to understand the mathematical impossibility of our current financial timeline. Consider this: $307 trillion. That is the estimated global debt as of late 2023. Now consider 334%. That is the ratio of global debt to GDP. We are drowning. Every dollar of GDP growth now requires dollars of new debt to generate. It is a system of parasitic finance that feeds on the future to pay for the present. The current banking system runs on confidence and liquidity. Confidence means you believe the bank has your money. Liquidity means the ability to move that money fast. Cyber Polygon simulates the death of liquidity. Imagine the scenario. A coordinated attack hits the liquidity bridges between the U.S. Federal Reserve and the European Central Bank. Simultaneously, the cloud servers hosting J.P. Morgan and Bank of America's customer data are compromised. The freeze happens. For 48 to 72 hours, commerce stops. You cannot swipe a card. You cannot buy food. Supply chains, which run on just-in-time delivery software, grind to a halt. Panic sets in. This is the problem phase of the dialectic. The reaction follows. The public demands a solution. They do not care about privacy anymore. They just want to feed their children. They want access to their funds. The media will scream that the old system, the private, decentralized, commercial banking system, was too insecure, too outdated, and vulnerable to terrorists. The solution is the CBDC ledger. This is where the deduced primary mechanism comes into play. The central banks have already built the replacement. It is the Central Bank Digital Currency. Unlike the money in your bank account right now, which is a liability of a private bank, a CBDC is a direct liability of the Federal Reserve or your local central bank. It does not need SWIFT. It does not need commercial banks. It sits on a centralized, government-controlled ledger. As of 2024, 130 countries, representing 98% of global GDP, are exploring or developing CBDCs. This is not a theory. It is a construction project nearing completion. Here is how the switch happens. During the Cyber Polygon crisis, the government announces a rescue package. Because the old banking ledgers are corrupted or under investigation, they cannot restore your old account immediately. Instead, they ask you to download the new FedNow or Digital Euro wallet app. To verify your identity, since the old bank records are compromised, you must provide your biometric data. This is your new Digital ID. Once you sign up, the government airdrops emergency relief funds directly into your wallet. They might say it takes 6 months to reconcile your old bank account. By the time 6 months pass, nobody will use the old system anymore. The migration is complete. This is where the greed and illusion of the old system are replaced by the tyranny of the new. This new money is programmable. They can set an expiration date on your funds to stimulate the economy, meaning use it or lose it. They can limit what you can buy, such as carbon credits or meat quotas. They can even freeze your wallet if you dissent against the official narrative. 2030 is the target date for the UN's Sustainable Development Goals, which align perfectly with the WEF's Great Reset. The "You will own nothing and be happy" slogan was not a joke.
It was a prediction of a rental economy where you rent your life from the state using tokens they control. This is a moral hazard of the highest order. The people who broke the financial system, the central bankers and the financial elite, are using the cyber pandemic to absolve themselves of the debt. Think about it. If the ledger is wiped, the debt is wiped, but so are your assets. The reset allows them to default on the social contract. They can say, "We didn't default on your pension because we ran out of money. We lost the record because of the hackers." It is the perfect crime. No fingerprints, no accountability. Just a glitch that forces humanity into digital serfdom. This is engineered collapse. They are burning down the casino to claim the insurance money, but they are locking the patrons inside while they do it. The digital pandemic is the fire. The digital ID is the key to the exit door. But once you walk through that door, you are no longer a free citizen. You are a user in their database. We are witnessing the end of private property rights under the guise of cybersecurity. It is a sleight of hand. While you're looking at the hackers, the bankers are stealing the deed to the house.
The speed of the modern world is our greatest enemy. In 1929, news traveled by ticker tape. Today, panic travels at the speed of light. If or when this digital pandemic hits, you will not have days to prepare. You will have hours. The stakes could not be higher. We are not just talking about losing money. Money is a fiction we all agree on. We are talking about losing agency. We are talking about a system where your ability to participate in society is conditional. This is a philosophical battle as much as a financial one. It is a battle against denial. Denial tells you that they would not do that. Denial tells you that the institutions are incompetent, not malicious. Denial is the comfort blanket you wrap yourself in while the house is on fire. Institutions built on borrowed time always collapse. The question is not if, but how. They have chosen the how. They have chosen the Cyber Polygon scenario because it allows them to retain power amidst the rubble. So I have to ask you, are we wiser now, or are we just walking the same path as 1929 and 2008? Only this time in better suits and with faster servers. Do not be the person waiting for the news anchor to tell you it is time to panic. By then, the ATMs will already be empty. If this video sparked a realization in you, you have a responsibility. Share this video. Send it to the skeptic in your family. Send it to your group chat. We cannot stop the attack, but we can inoculate our minds against the solution they offer. Knowledge is the only currency that cannot be hacked. Subscribe to the channel if you want to stay ahead of the narrative. Hit the notification bell because when the lights go out, this might be the last place you find the truth. Stay vigilant, watch the ledger, and never trade your freedom for convenience.